Everybody, Bass B. So today I'm talking about swarm trapping, give y'all some information. Don't forget to hit that like button for me before we begin so you don't forget. And I made a shorts and I knew it was coming. People tell me that a Nook box really ain't big enough to catch primary swarms. I get it, okay. It was a new video. It was a video for new beekeepers. They probably don't have built swarm traps or extra equipment. Black brood comb, propolis, because you can go out and scrape it, all that stuff. It's just a great way for brand new beekeepers to catch swarms, or anybody to catch swarms, because it works really good. And so it was an idea for new beekeepers basically, and it's a damn good one because I've used it and caught them like that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I like to roll normally. Okay, so when a swarm leaves the hive, it's looking for a new home, and a great way to help it is basically to give it a home that feels like it's already furnished. Okay, by that I mean comb. Okay, old black comb has the smell of bees, and it feels like bees have lived there. Okay, and I'm going to go over several things that can help your chances of catching a swarm. Okay. So, when you pick out a frame to use in a swarm trap, you don't want any food in it, any resources, okay? So this frame, what would be wrong with this frame? If you could see. Anyway, you can see some pollen, and it's full of nectar. And it's got some leftover honey here, okay? So the bees would come and rob it out. That would not help them move in. Okay, a lot of new beekeepers think if they feed the hive, it's going to draw bees to it, and it'll help them find it and help them move in. And not going to say that could never work, but I will say at least 90% of the time they will go in, rob out the resources, and they will leave. Okay, so this one has honey on it. So that's no good. This one is a dead owl. It's got mouse damage, got old dark comb. It would be perfect. It has propolis on it. But what do you see? Sorry about my lighting. Okay, it's full of pollen. So pollen would attract wax moths, and then hive beetles. So you wouldn't want to put that in there. And possibly robbing. Bees will rob pollen as well. Now this one is a foundationless. The bees started chewing it in the dirt, and then wax moths got in and damaged it. Okay? It don't have any resources left. It has a little bit of drone comb on it, but a lot of worker cells, and it would be decent enough. And if you have frames that ain't heavily damaged like this one with wax moth damage, put them in a swarm trap is a great way to attract bees, and the swarm will fix the comb where it's damaged if it's not completely damaged. Okay, so this frame, this is an old frame, 6 years old, packed in propolis, has absolutely zero resources in it. Okay, black, they're not gonna mess with it. So this would be an ideal frame. Perfect. Okay, so here's another example. It's got some old, a little bit of mold, no resources, a little bit of mold, probably syrup drip. Okay, it's not really moldy, and bees will fix a little bit of mold, but you don't want to put one in there just completely moldy. Here's another one, has absolutely zero resources, a little bit of damage, it's fine. It would be a great selection for a swarm trap. Now this is my Old Faithful swarm trap. It's a lay-in style. This is a swarm trap. This is the style of swarm traps that I normally use. It's this thing's caught more bees. I don't know. It always catches bees a few times a year. So this is what it looks like inside. You can see, let me remove the frame. You can see old comb. You can see probably wax moth eggs on the side, some old propolis. Okay, this thing got some dead bees in the bottom. The thing right there, when bees check that one out, they know bees have lived there before. And bees that know that it's been occupied before, that's a real turn on for bees, knowing bees have been there before. So some things that I do, especially new traps that haven't caught before and had bees in it. Traps that have had bees in it before increases your chances tremendously, okay? So some stuff you can do instead of throwing it away. A dead out. The bees and wax from a dead out. You can put them in there on the bottom board. The bees go in. It's just like nature. In nature, the bees find a dead out in a tree. There's comb in there. Might be a little bit wax moth damage, but it's like going to an apartment and seeing furniture. They can fix it up a little bit. The dead bees, the smell attracts them. They know that it hived bees before. They clean it out. They take use of it. It's an excellent way. Same way with swarm trapping. You're mimicking the bees. The bees are the best teachers. Absolutely. Another thing. Wax. Now you don't want wax with pollen and honey. But this wax is just wax from a dead out that got robbed. Okay? So you could melt this, put it in your hive. This is an old comb. Okay? I seen a guy's video where he said, break off a little piece, put it in there. I'm not going to say that that's not better than nothing. But an actual comb, if you have it, is far superior. Plus, I like to put a dark comb in. And then foundationless frames beside it. That gives them a guide. I strongly recommend wiring or using 50-pound test line, so you don't have this happen. Okay, so basically my swarm trap will look like this. Okay, another thing, I use deep frames in a laying style. So what's that do? You see the space below. Swarms love that space below. It's another reason I think they're so successful. So getting back to this, I think a piece of this, if you don't have a comb, is better than nothing. But me personally, what I think would be better to do with this is to mash it up into a ball and melt it and smear it in there. That way you got the smell. That's not usable, okay? That's not natural to a bee. Whereas an actual comb that they can put stores in and use is more natural. And, you know, you're not going for just smell. Something they can start using that's helpful. Not only to attract, but to help them get started. They're starting with basically nothing, you know. Okay. So, one thing I do, just the lid. Look at that. Okay. So, I got a bag of propolis I've scraped. One thing you can do, instead of mixing it with alcohol and painting it on, you can do that. But I just take and mush the propolis into a little ball. I heat it up, heats up easy. Don't take but just a couple seconds. And you can smear it on there like a crayon. The smell of this is amazing. And when it heats up, it'll really smell. So that'll really help. Another thing, you can buy bottles for lemongrass oil and spray them. Okay. Now, I truly believe Swarm Commander is 100 times better than lemongrass oil. I basically did a little test outside on a lawnmower once with Mini Nooks and proved it. And it's worth every penny. It really is. So, spray the lid 3 times, spray the entrance, and put it in a spot that gets evening shade. Okay? Now, one thing I do is I'll take a board, use this for example, and if it's a spot that don't have that great a shade, I'll lay something over it. A piece of foam, a board, anything to give it some shade. Bees do not like cavities that get too hot. They will not commit to it. Evening shade is good. Another thing, you don't want a bunch of limbs and stuff in front of your entrance. Bees don't like that, okay? So break that stuff off, cut it off, whatever. As far as facing, I've caught swarms facing north, facing south, facing east, facing west. That don't seem to matter as much. I think it would be better if they got the early sun to get them out working once they were caught. But as far as catching, I've seen no difference. Heat, full sun, that's a big no-no. That'll keep you from catching swarms more than anything. A good place is around water. I've tried pole lines. Now, the edge of fields and stuff's good, but you need that evening shade. So, make sure you got evening shade. Another thing, sometimes if I ain't going to be back to the trap in a while, I will spray some cotton swabs, stick it between the frames or on top of them. And not only does that help attract them, but it helps hold them, okay? So it helps hold the bees. And I use that stuff like that in Mini Nooks to help hold the bees instead of pheromone strips. So this video is getting long. I got more to share. Y'all have a good day. Make sure if you like this video, you share it and help me out. And I got lots more to teach, so y'all stick with me. Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Y'all have a wonderful day. John at Bass Bees.